You're welcome to today's videos lesson. My name is Courage. I'll be teaching you on today's video lesson, partial variation. Anyway, if this is your first time of joining us, hit on the subscribe button right now and turn on notifications so that you get updated whenever I upload a new content right on this channel. I'll be teaching you, like I said, on partial variation, and the foreknowledge of simultaneous equation is needed. So we are going to be dealing with different processes and all that. So one of the processes involved is simultaneous equation. I have also taught direct and inverse and joint variations. So I think it is good for you to watch that video so that you have a foreknowledge, also a background of what we'll be doing today. So for you to get notifications whenever I upload any other content, like I've said, hit on the subscribe button right now first of all and turn on notifications so that you get notified whenever I upload wonderful content like this. So let's get started with this. Let's get started. When we say partial variation, what do we mean? What are we talking about? We are simply saying that a quantity varies as two quantities, as two or more other quantities. And the relationship between these quantities in consideration is usually expressed in the form of a linear equation. For example, the cost of making a dress depends on two things. One, it depends on the length of the material, or that's the length of the cloth now, and it depends also on the time taken to make the dress. So I can say that the cost of making a dress partly varies as what? The length of the material, and partly varies as the what? Time taken to make the dress. Now, let's take another example. The cost for electricity consumption, it depends on two things actually. One, it depends on the quantity of electricity consumed, and it also depends on the service charge. Now, in electricity consumption, there is a constant charge or service charge, and there is the normal amount or quantity of electricity consumed. So the cost of electricity consumed it depends on both the service charge and the quantity of units consumed. So this is what partial variation talks about. One quantity depends partly on two other given quantities. For example, I want to write a mathematical statement. I want to express a partial variation statement in an equation form. How do I write this? If I say A varies partly as B and partly as C, how do I write this? I'll say A varies. A is equal to 1. Now, in partial variation, I want to express something before I complete this equation. In partial variation, there are at least two constants of variation. At least two constants. So the constant can either be 2, equal to 2, or greater than 2. That's what it means. So, in partial variation, now there are two constants involved. In this case, I want to call my constant x and y now. X and y. Let's continue. I said A varies partly as B and partly as what? C. This is how I'm going to write it. A varies partly as B and partly as what? C. Where x and y are my constants. X and y are the what? Constants. You are going to understand this when I start solving questions. First question. Let's see what the first question says. Now, the first question is on the board. It says, y is partly constant and partly varies as x. When x is 2, y is 16. And when x is 7, y is 31. Find this. 1. The formula connecting y and x. 2. Find x when y is 7, and C, find y when x is 24. Look at it. Y is partly constant and partly varies. So what it means is that the first, okay, let's solve this. Y is partly constant and partly varies as this. Like I said just now on electricity consumption, the cost. I said the cost varies as two things. The service charge is a constant and the what? The unit of electricity consumed. So in this case, one of the quantities is a constant. So that's, let's call the constant what? The first constant. Okay, we are using so let's call the first constant P plus the second one says and partly varies as X. So we have another constant, let's call that constant Q, which will multiply the second quantity. Y is partly constant and partly varies as X. This is the equation form of this statement. Where P and Q are what? Are the what? Constants of variation. P and Q are the what? Constants of variation. Now, Y varies partly, is partly constant and partly varies as what? X. When Y is 2 and X is when S is 2 and Y is 16, when S equal to 2 and Y equal to 16, this time I'm going to demand your utmost attention. So let's substitute these values now of X and Y into this equation. Y is 16. 16 is equal to what? P. We don't know the value of P and Q yet. Plus X is 2. So 2 times Q is what? 2Q. This is equation 1. When X is what? 7 and Y is 31. And Y equal to 31. So these values also will be substituted into this equation. 31 is equal to what? This is P plus X is 7. 7 times Q, that's 7Q. Equation 2. So before we do anything, before we get our answers, we will need to first of all get the numerical values of these constants P and Q. Now, this is simultaneous equation. Like I said, the knowledge of simultaneous equation is required. But don't worry yourself if you don't know simultaneous equation. I'm going to simplify it here by solving this. Just listen. That's what I want you to do for me. So, in simultaneous equation, we have two methods, elimination and substitution method. Now, in this case, I have 16 is equal to P plus 2Q, 31 is equal to P plus 7Q. Now, it will be easier for me to eliminate P from these two equations. So what I'll do now is this. 31 minus 16 will give me an answer. P minus P is already out, 0. So 7Q minus 2Q is 5Q. So I still have Q left and another 10. So I can actually eliminate P. So I will now say subtracting equation, let's say equation 1 is smaller. So equation 2 minus equation what? 1. I have this. 31 minus 16, what would that give me? 31 minus 16 give me 15. 15 is equal to P minus P is 0. 7Q minus 2Q is what? 5Q. 5Q. So Q will be equal to 15 over what? 5. That's 3. So the value of Q is what? 3. Good. We will now substitute this value 3 of Q now into any of this equation 1 or 2. Any one. So let's put it into equation 1 so that we can get the answer of what? P. So what do I do now is to say 16. 16 is equal to P plus 2 times Q. That's 2 times 3. Q is now 3. So 16 is equal to P plus 2 times 3 is what? 6. So P is equal to 16 minus what? 6. And this will give me 10. So the value of P is 10 and Q is what? 3. The first question says, find the formula connecting Y and X. How do we get this formula? It's simply to substitute for these values of P and Q into this original equation and get the formula that connects the variables Y and X. So what we'll do is, A is this, Y is equal to what's P? 10 plus what's Q? 3. x. This is the formula that connects the variables y and x. So from here now we can now solve these two questions. B says find x when y is 37. So I'll say when y is 37, I'll substitute for these values now. This value of y, which is 37, into this equation. So 37 is equal to 10 plus 3x. So 37 minus 10, correctly like 10, is equal to what? 3x. So 37 minus 10 will give me 27 equal to 3x. So dividing both sides by 3, x is equal to 27 over 3. That's what? 9. So when y is 37, what is x? 9. This question C. It says find y when x is 24. So when x equal to 24, y is now equal to what? 10 plus 3 times x is 24. 24. So y is equal to what? 10 plus 3 times 4 is 12. 3 times 2 is 6, but now I have 7. So y is now equal to what? 10 plus 72. That's 80 what? 2. So this is the value of y when x is 24. So this is just the first question on this partial derivation. I'll go to question 2 right now. You get it better. Question 2 says the cost, say, of catering for a number of guests in a party is partly constant and partly varies inversely with the number of guests. If the cost per guest for 40 guests is 600 naira and for 50 guests is 500 naira, find these two questions. So before we start finding, we have to look for the constants of derivation. So let's express this mathematically. The cost C, that's C what? Varies. It's partly constant and partly varies inversely. So I have my first constant, let's call that first constant x, and partly varies inversely with the number of guests, n. So the number of guests is n. So the second constant, let's say y, inversely will now be 1 over what? N. I just wish to watch my video on inverse variation. You wouldn't have any problem with what I'm doing right now. So it says C is partly constant, which is this, and partly varies inversely. So if it partly varies directly, I would have just said y times n. But since it is inverse, it will not be the y times reciprocal of n. So I have C is equal to x plus y times 1 is y over what? N. This is the original equation. It says the cost per 40 guests is 600 naira. When the cost is 600 naira and the number of guests is what? 40. So these values will be substituted into this equation. C is 600, this is 600, is equal to x plus what? Y over n is 40. Equation 1. Now, the second one says, for 50 guests is 500 naira. So when C is 500 naira and the number of guests is what? 50. Let's solve. So this equation, these values of C and N will be substituted into this equation also. So I have 500 is equal to x plus y over what? N is 50, equation 2. So it will also be easier for us to eliminate x is here. Because x has the quotient of x here in both is 1. So eliminating x will be easier. So just say equation 1 minus 2. That's equation 1 minus what? 2. This is 600 minus 500. 600 minus 500, that is what? 100 is equal to x minus x, 0. Y over 40 minus y over what? 50. So we're now going to solve this equation for what? For y. So this is how I'm going to do it. 100 is equal to what? The LCM of 40 and 50 is 200. So this is 2 over 200. Now, let's go. 200 divided by 40 will give me what? 5. 5 times y is 5y. This is 5y. Then 200 also divided by 50 is what? 4. 4 times y, 4y. This is minus 4y. Minus 4y. I have what? 100 is equal to 5y minus 4y is what? Y over what? 200. So cross multiplying y times 1, which is y, is equal to 100 times 200. 100 times what? 200. And that gives us what? 20,000. So y is 20,000. Getting the value of y now, which is 20,000. So we will now get the value of x, the second constant, by substituting this value 20,000 into either equation 1 or equation what? 2. So let's see. Let's substitute into equation 2. So put 20,000 for y in equation 2. And that will give us 500 is equal to x plus y is 20,000. 20,000 over what? 50. Over 50. So this is 500 is equal to x plus, this cancels this. 20 divided by 5 is what? 4. So I have 400. 400. So 20,000 divided by 50 is 400. So x is now equal to 500 minus what? 400. And that is equal to x. And 500 minus 400 is just 100 equal to what? X. So the constants of variation here, x and y, are 120,000. So to get the law of variation, these values will be substituted into this original equation. So C will now be equal to what? X is 100 plus y is 20,000 over what? N. So this is the law of variation, question A. So we are asked to find the cost to cater for 100 guests. So let's get that. The cost to cater for 100 guests is when C is equal, when N for the 100. So when the number of guests is 100, I'll substitute this value now into this equation. I have the cost is equal to what? 100 plus 20,000 over N is 100. So 20,000 divided by 100 will give me, this is 200. So the cost is equal to 100 plus 200, that's 300 naira. So as far as this problem is concerned, the cost to cater for 100 guests is what? 300 naira. So now we're going to move to the last but not the least, the last question. So focus your attention once again. The last question. It says the speed s of a car varies partly directly as its mass and partly directly as the quantity q of foil. Watch. The speed depends on two quantities, the mass and the quantity of foil. So it varies partly as the mass and partly as the what? Quantity of foil. But this equation will not be complete if I don't include the constants. So I have, let the first constant be A, that's A, and let the second constant be what? B. This is the equation. So the speed varies partly as the mass and partly as the quantity or the volume of fuel. When the speed is 80 km per hour, the mass is 220 kg and the quantity of fuel is 30 liters. So when S, which is the speed, is 80 km, let's say 80, the mass is what? 220 and the quantity is 30 liters. Let's go. S is 80 is equal to A times the mass, 220, that's 220A, plus Q is the quantity, 30 liters, that's 30 times the constant B. Equation 1. This one is going to be a little bit difficult. We see. When the speed is 60 km per hour, that's when S equal to 60, and the mass is what? 300 kilogram. S is 300. The volume is what? 40 liters. Q is equal to 40 liters. So let's substitute. S is 60. 60 is equal to what? M is 300. That's 300 times A. 300 A plus Q is 40. That's 40 B. Equation 2. Alright, so these are the two equations that we have. The two equations. 80 equal to 220A plus 30B, and 60 equal to 300A plus 40B. So another opportunity for you to learn simultaneous equation right now. Now, I have 220A, I have 300A. I have 30B, I have 40B. So it's going to be difficult for us to do direct subtraction for eliminating. So what we do now is what? Multiply this first equation by one number and multiply the second equation by one number so as to make the coefficients of one of the terms you eliminate to be the same. Listen. For example, I want to eliminate B in the two equations. What will I do? What I'm going to do is this. I will look for a way to make these coefficients the same. And it is gotten by the equation of B here is 40. I'll multiply this one by 40. The equation of B here is 30. I'll multiply this equation by what? 30. Now look at what I will have. I will have this equation. 40 times 80 will be 3,200. Good. Then I have is equal to 40 times 220 will give me 8800A plus 40 times 30B will give me 1200B. 1200B. This let's finish equation 3. Now 30 times 60 is 1800. Then 30 times 300 is 9000. I have 9000A. Okay, this is plus 30 times 40B, that will still give me 1300B. Equation, let's go to equation 4. So from here we cannot proceed. Now the equation of B now are now the same. So I will subtract equation 4 minus equation 3. This is what we have. 3200 minus 1800. 3200 minus 1800. That's 1400 is equal to 8800. 8800 minus 9000. Minus 9000. That's minus 200A. Then this 1200 minus 1200B cancels each other. So what I have now is this. So I will divide both sides by minus 200. So 1400 over minus 200 is equal to what? Minus 200A over minus 200. They cancel out. And 1400 divided by minus 200 is what? Minus 7. This is equal to what? A. So the first constant of variation is A, which is minus what? 7. Okay? Now let's get out of B. So we are going to substitute for this value of minus 7 now into any of these four equations. Equation 1, 2, 3, or 4. We are going to get our answer straight. So let's put that equation into this value into equation 2. So substitute minus 7 for A in equation what? Equation 2. So let's do that. Minus 7 into equation 2 will give me 60 is equal to A is minus 7. That's 300 times minus 7 plus 40B plus what? 40B. Okay, so let's attack this. 60 is equal to minus 7 times 3 is 21. This is 21. That's 2100 plus 40B. Okay. Now, I'll add 60 plus 2100 is equal to what? 40B. 2160 equal to 40B. So B will not be equal to what? 2160 over what? 40. That is, divide both sides by 40. And then I have what? 54. 54. So the value of b, the second constant, is what? 54. So before we can get any other question, any other answer, what we're going to do now is to substitute these values a and b into this our original equation. So the equation will now be s is equal to, what's a? Minus 7. Minus 7m, what's b now? 54. Plus 54q. So, although we are not asked for this, but we are supposed to get this. This is the equation that connects the speed, the mass, and the quantity of volume of foil, as far as this problem is concerned. Now, we are asked to find the volume of foil or quantity when the speed is 100 km per hour and the mass is 250 kg. So, when the speed is 100 and the mass is what? 250. Let's go. 100 is here. 100 is equal to minus 7 times the mass is 250. 250 plus 54q. We are looking for the quantity of foil right now. So let me wipe this part of the board. I have 100 is equal to minus 7 times 250 is 1750 minus 1750 plus 54q. So collecting items, I have 100 plus 1750. You know that this negative turns to positive when it crosses, equal to 54q. So this will give me 1850 equal to 54q. So this is what? 34.25 is the quantity. 24.25 liters. So when the speed is 100 km per hour and the mass of the car is 250 kilogram, the quantity of fuel is 34.25 liters of fuel. It's been a long while, it's been a little while learning partial derivation. As at this time I did this video, I have not taught simultaneous equation, but very soon it will be uploaded. Subscribe, and turn on notification so that whenever that content is uploaded, you get notification. In fact, you'll be the first person to actually get notification whenever I upload that video. It's been a long time with you guys learning partial derivations. I'm done with derivations in total. So what yours is to subscribe, to share this video to your friends, to like, to comment. I'll see you some other time in my next content. Good day.